Hello friends and potential friends. I bet some of you are getting tired of seeing my little feral kitten adventure. Well, don't worry, I'll be wrapping that up before too long. It's never going to end, because I'll be feeding them cats for the rest of their lives probably. But today I wanted to get back into the garden a little bit and show you what's been going on. Yes, I am still doing some gardening. In fact, I'm going to start out here with the green stalk planter. As you can see, my mint is still growing crazy. I've been giving it away and drying it out, trimming it off, and doing everything I can to try to keep it under control. And I'm not very successful at it. Sage is still going strong. Still have some nasturtiums in there. I have harvested a bunch of marigolds, saving those for seeds. Get a few radishes here and there. But what's really thrilling me right now is these Daddle Peppers. Today is November 21st. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, just a few days away. And I got peppers going crazy. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that I'm growing these things primarily for seed. I put them out here in the front yard where I don't have any other peppers around, so they wouldn't get cross-pollinated. And I'm going to get a lot of seeds out of these guys. In fact, they still have blossoms on them, some of them. Can you see that one there? They're still blooming, almost near the end of November. Now, to be fair, it's cooled off a little bit here in Florida. We actually went below 60 degrees one day last week. But today is topping out at about 80, 79 or 80, which is nice gardening weather as far as I'm concerned. But I just had to show you that one. And I'll pick it up in the backyard in a little bit and see what we got going on back there. Now let's take a look at the rest of the container garden. As you can see, the pineapples are still doing wonderful. That's my little Mexican avocado. Still growing good. And yesterday my buddy brought me over some Moringa sprouts. I'm going to have to find some place out in the yard to put those. But those things are sprouting out pretty good. Still have some Ponderosa lemons over here. Mulberry spreading out all over the place. The horseradish has died back for the year. And still got my elderberry over here in this little pot. That needs to go in the ground somewhere too, so it can take off. Down below all those, I've got some more mint. I believe there's still some oregano somewhere in there. A couple more Ponderosa lemons. Still one loquat back here in the corner, hiding behind this papaya. The pomegranates are still doing good. There's another of last year's lemon tree. Basil's pretty much giving it up. And the ginger is starting to die back a little bit, but I may have a couple of flowers coming up here before long. That's going to be nice to see. Over on the side, the turmeric is starting to die back. Got another papaya here that needs to go in the ground. And the turmeric that's in the bed is just about all died off for the year. I may dig into that before long and see what I can find. Aloes are flowering. A couple of them are. Still have these Jimmy Nardello peppers that are trying to do something. Still putting on blossoms. I'm not sure I'm going to get much more out of them, although I do see one little pepper over there on the far side. And these Daddle Peppers in the front are pretty much gone. All the basil I had up there is also pretty much gone. Over here in the okra bed, whatever it is that's been eating the okra leaves has got all of them. But each one of these has got a pod at the top of it that I'm letting dry out to get some seeds from. Still have an acorn squash over here in a little bed with some purslane. And over in the main beds, as usual, the rosemary needs to be trimmed back. And this is the Collards Experiment. I have 9 Cabbage Collards right up here at this end. This end gets a lot more sunlight than the far end, so I'm doing an experiment to see how well these things grow in shade or in sun. Next to the Cabbage Collards, I've got 6 mustard, mainly just to separate them from the other collards. Then in the middle, I've got 6 Vates Collards. I've never grown those, so that's an experiment to see how well they grow, and also to show me the difference between them and the Cabbage Collards. I tried several times to get some Georgia Collards sprouted this year, and I was 100% unsuccessful. Next to the Vates Collards, I put in a couple more rows of mustard. Makes good salads. Also makes good grazing fodder. Some people don't like mustard leaves, but I certainly do. And then down here at the far end, I've got another 9 Cabbage Collards. These are the ones that are going to be growing in the sun or in the shade most of the time. But that's the Collards Experiment bed. And if you happen to notice, looking around the edges, I don't see even one garlic popping up. All around the edge of this bed is where I planted the garlic cloves that I stratified in the freezer. So it is beginning to look like stratifying those cloves in the freezer is not the way to do it. But I'm going to let it keep on going, see what happens next spring. Now to the one that people think I'm crazy about, we'll take a look at the tomato bed. Of course, I have my volunteer sweet potatoes. We'll see if they produce anything. But down here at this end, I've got 4 Brandywine tomatoes. They're growing real good. They're about 1.5 feet, almost 2 feet tall. Haven't started putting on any blossoms yet, and I'm gonna have to start tying them up here pretty soon. Next to those, I have Brandywine. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed that one up. These 4 at this end are Boxcar Willie, the big ones. I'm looking forward to those. I got those from Ray's little shop of seeds. These are Brandywines, and it looks like I'm getting a few worms on them. I'm going to have to take care of that. The Brandywines are doing okay. Next to them, I believe these are the beefsteaks? No, these are the large cherry tomatoes. I think I got 3 of those. And then here, I've got a few mule team. They get more shade down at this end, so it's kind of hard, not growing as fast. And then what have I got down here at the far end? I believe these are the beefsteaks from M.I. Gardner. And as you can see in this bed, I've got garlic growing all around the edges. That's the garlic that I stratified in the refrigerator. Now you notice I skipped over that bed in the middle. I'll show that in a separate little clip here before long because I'm still working on some things in there. And for now, let's go out and see what's going on in the orchard. As we walk out, got this one little moringa that's growing pretty good. My gardenia is still doing real nice. And the Florida avocado is growing pretty good. Over here we have last year's lemon tree. Might have to start calling that the 2-year-old lemon tree. That's one I grew from seeds that came from the grocery store. Got my loquat up about 3.5, 4 feet tall. And then my original Ponderosa Lemon over here in the shade. It's actually in the sun right at the moment. But this guy's got a few lemons on it this year. There's one there. This one I'm not sure what's going on, and it's already starting to turn yellow, but it's only the size of a tennis ball. And I think we had one more up in here that's coming along pretty good. There may be 1 or 2 others on there, but I'm not spotting them right offhand. So now let's go take a look at the other end of the orchard. Okay, down in the mini orchard, got a papaya that's about 4 feet tall. And right next to it is another one that's about 2 feet tall, but this one's got blossoms coming up on it. Now, I understand that papayas are either male or female, so I'm having to assume at the moment that this little one down here is probably the female. I don't have to worry about pollination because my buddy up the street has got a bunch of papayas growing in his yard. Sugarcane I still haven't done anything with. I'm going to have to cut that out this year and move it all somewhere else. It's been growing in that pot for about 3 years now. There's my Ponderosa Lemon. It's up about 2 feet tall. Seems to be growing pretty good. Still doesn't get enough sunlight back in here. I think I'm going to wind up putting a Ponderosa out in the front yard just so I have a lot of good sunlight for it. The blueberries haven't produced any berries this year. I did get a few last year, but haven't seen any this year. And then finally the Moringa, the big Moringa. It's about 12 feet tall maybe. Hope you can see the top of it up there. My gardening buddy keeps telling me every time he comes over, says, you got to cut that thing off and cut the stem up and plant them. Well, one of these days I'll get around to it and get that done. For now, I just like seeing it. And I've got plenty of Moringa powder in the house, so I don't really need the leaves right now. Approaching Thanksgiving, I'm starting to sweat a little bit, and everything's growing pretty nice out here. Okay, I finished up what I was doing, so now I can show you this center bed. First 1.5 feet or so down here, I've direct sown some slow bolt cilantro seeds. They grew pretty good for me last year, so I'm going to see how they grow this year. Then I've got 6 golden acres cabbage. Then this little empty spot, I put in a deluxe salad mix of lettuce seeds. And then I started my Swiss chard. I went crazy with Swiss chard this year. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of Swiss chard. There's magenta, orange, ruby red, rainbow. I think that's all of them. Basically, 32 plants? That should be enough Swiss chard. And then down here at the far end, I've still got a few feet left over. That's where my kale's going to go this year. But the kale is still in the lab, needs to be separated a little bit more before I can start putting it out here. But anyway, that takes care of the outside garden. Let's go take a quick look in the lab. It'll be quick because there's not a lot in there. Well, here we are in the lab. And as I said, there's not a lot in here. All right, up here is the kale that I need to separate. And you can see a bunch of little plants in there. I need to split them out. Those ones are the red Russian kale. And then I've also got some Vate's blue Scotch kale. I think that's some more of the Vate's kale there. I've got a few Swiss chard still left over. A couple of cabbage collards back there. My 9-year-old basil still coming along. It's going to flower. I'm going to have to pop the heads off of those. A little bit more mustard left over. And then a number of the Vate's collards over on this side. And back in the corner, I've got my Jimmy Nardello peppers that are still blooming in here. And that's about all that's left in here. The mustard, the collards, I'll probably be giving to my buddy up the street because I don't have any more room for them. I will get that kale out there in the next week or so. And basically whatever I've got left over here, I will unload on Buddy. And outside, I still have a bunch of seeds, mostly different varieties of lettuce that I'm going to be putting in amongst everything else that's growing out there. I'm just going to kind of scatter wherever I've got an empty spot. I think there's some onion seeds in there too that I'm going to try out. But that's it. The winter garden is successfully going. It's finally cooling off enough to where the plants are actually surviving. And so now it's just a matter of waiting for them to grow. I've already started munching on some of the mustard leaves from time to time. After this one, next video is probably going to be another kitty adventure. I've still got 2 or 3 of those that I've been working on editing. As I think I mentioned at the beginning, I'll be wrapping that up pretty soon. It'll never end because I've got 2 kittens living with me inside, and all the rest of them are coming by for meals once or twice a day. But I'll be concentrating a little bit more on the garden from here on out, especially once I get those other kitten videos edited. And so I will see you on the next video.